We are done or we are done. We are
ready. People like this? No! Also star girls! Hey, believe it! Hey!
They will promote her to BC for me. Quick! Let the boss stand! Fire! Jennifer! No, you don't worry. You basketball! If you don't give you 100, you big down, give you 100. Go down. It's a pass. Wait. Antenna, you pick one. Hey, let down. You go right now. Abigail, send it. Go. Quick.
All right, so we're still here at the University of Ghana volleyball court. Just ended volleyball women against University of Ghana, between University of Ghana and University of Winnipeg, which University of Ghana actually lost this match. But we have Henry Nisaki, the coach for the volleyball women University of Ghana here. Hello, sir. Welcome to the AAU.
Thank you.
So what happened to the University of Ghana team? They had their A game on almost to the win, but unfortunately there was a loss.
The second team were younger, quite agile. I had to introduce the libero to come and have some big ones to go and rest a little and come back. So the fatigue what actually caused us. It happened that those ones actually couldn't stay in camp with us because of their work. Some are immigration officers and keep working and combining schooling. Some are mothers who could not leave their families to stay. So they couldn't go through the endurance training that we went through. And that was the cause of fatigue in this match.
It was a good game. I mean, we had high expectations. And unfortunately, we'd say it was a bad day. And we are believing that the other games will be better.
Okay. So what should we expect from your team in the other game?
Expect a win from Team UG in our next game.
We're here to interview the team that won fantastically over here. So team, what's up?
Actually, it wasn't easy.
Really?
But then, we had a good start. But later, our morale was down. And one thing about playing sports is getting yourself together, bringing up morale, and because your morale can confuse your opponent. But then we were able.
There was some confusion. Some of your members were not in the right places. You were talking against each other. How were you able to, amidst that confusion, still get your A game on?
With that, there was a bit of tension. We were tensed up because we were being extra careful to demoralize your teammate. So we came together, spoke among ourselves, and then we were able to pick up. That is what made us came back on track, and then we were able to beat our opponents.
No, University of Ghana, your opponents were also very tactical. They actually overtook you on the points, got at the last lap. But what happened? How were you able?
Wait. 2, we realized that they were good. So the only thing we were supposed to do was to look.
Wait. So what should we expect from University of Winnipeg women volleyball team? What should we expect?
We are taking the silver to our house.
I'm here with the Association of African Universities Television, AUTV. I just want to say that without the media, you won't know what's going on in the world. Even with the media, you're sometimes really on the front lines who can give you the information you need and give you facts, not conjecture, give you real news, not fake news. And this is the place to find it, AUTV.
The voice of higher education in Africa.
The COVID-19 pandemic has necessitated the need for higher education institutions to establish their impact through applied research. It is in this regard that the Africa Centers of Excellence for Impact Project, a higher education project supporting universities in West Africa, has engaged in groundbreaking researches in managing the virus within the sub-region. The 53 centers across the continent are putting in place measures to manage the pandemic in their respective countries. In Nigeria, the Africa Center of Excellence for Genomics of Infectious Diseases, ACEGID, at Redeemers University, in coordination with the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, was the first institution in Africa to successfully sequence genomes of SARS-CoV-2, which is the COVID-19 virus. This will strengthen surveillance for tracking mutations of the virus. The center has also developed a COVID-19 screening tool to measure individual risk level. Also, ACEGID seeks to use advanced genomics science to accelerate the production of a homemade vaccine against the virus. The West African Center for Cell Biology of Infectious Pathogens, WACBIP, a cell biology research center dedicated to the diagnostics of tropical diseases in sub-Saharan Africa at the University of Ghana, has also successfully sequenced genomes of SARS-CoV-2. This is a milestone in Ghana's response to the pandemic, as it will aid in the tracing of the sources of community infections in people with no known contact with confirmed cases. other centers of excellence are contributing to knowledge on management of the virus through innovative research. Centers such as the Regional Transport Research and Education (TREC), hosted by the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology (KNUST), examined how the COVID-19 is spreading in time and into new areas, its impact on urban mobility, and the environmental effect of the lockdown. To support continuous teaching and learning in their respective institutions, the apps such as Moodle, Sakai, Google Classroom, among others, are being used. The Africa Center of Excellence.
Welcome viewers to another exciting edition of the AAU Talks. My name is Felicia Kwagbeji and I'm your host for today. Today we are discussing the publication of books, what really goes into it. As higher education stakeholders or as players in the higher education scene, one key item we really can't do without is our books. But do we really know what goes into its production? Of course, coming up together into these beautiful books that we read every time or wherever we find ourselves is also another thing. And that will be the focus for our discussion today. We are going to see what really goes into the production process. I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Richmond Daku, who is the CEO and Creative Director of Direct Concept. Do stay tuned. Welcome back from the break. This is AAU TV and this is AAU Talk. Our topic for discussion is publication of books, what really goes into it. Like I said earlier, I'm joined in the studio by Mr. Richmond Daku, who is the Creative Director and CEO of Direct Concept. Welcome to the studio, Richmond.
Thank you.
We are happy to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay, so Direct Concept, what exactly do you people do?
We are into printing and designing. We print anything from books, 3D science as well.
Can we see some of your books? Did you come with some of the books that you're...
Yeah, sure. I have...
okay.
This a book we printed for AAU.
Okay.
English.
And English, okay.
Yeah.
But apart from AAU, I guess you work with a couple of other companies.
Yes.
Can you know some of them? Some institutions that you've published books for or done some
Action Aid,
okay.
Ghana, Compassion International Ghana,
okay.
Ghana.com,
okay.
They are into web stuff.
Okay.
We printed for NITA.
Okay.
We printed for COCOBOD.
And several others.
Okay. Yes. Ghana Immigration Service.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for how long have you been in this business?
I've been in it for 15 years now.
How old are you? You look quite young to have been in the business for 15 years.
I started early.
Okay.
I started early. if I should add even my training, then you're talking about 20 years.
Oh.
And it, yeah.
I see. We'll come to that bit because what key skills or qualifications or education background someone should have if they want to get into this business. But we want to understand typically what goes into it. Can you walk us through the process from start to finish. Where we have this final product that we use?
Book production consists of a lot of things. Setting the layouting process till the final production, print and binding. So this one.
Let's take it one after the other.
So who goes through it to see, who reviews the document to check for grammar, check for consistency, and make sure everything is appropriate, and it's the layouting itself, the page numbering and everything.
Which one? I want to find out whether the idea of having a proofreader to look through, sort of to quality assure, is really the ideal or it is done. The reason why I'm asking whether you people actually do it is because in my field of work, of course, I work with a lot of printers, designers, and all of that. And I've realized that if you don't critically look at what has been presented to you and you think that, oh, I submitted, so I trust they've done it, you would be in for a shock.
Yeah.
In that you would see all sorts of spelling mistakes, even though you gave it to them, but probably they were typing something on the cover or in the process of transfer, a lot of mistakes. So you, even the person who gave it to them, really have to be critical and look through very carefully to be sure that, yes, everything is fine. That's why I'm asking if indeed the proofreader is the ideal situation, that is what should be done, or because I'm not so clear.
We used to do that, but the clients have stopped us from doing that.
How?
Because first of all, they don't want to pay for proofreaders. They want to review the document by themselves, edit it by themselves, and make sure what they've put in the document is what it's in. So the proofreading aspect is reducing for some organizations, but with some corporate organizations that I know, they want you to come with a proofreader who do the job for them. Yeah.
Is it a request at the point of the client asking you to submit an invoice?
No,
you put proofreading?
We put proofreading.
Okay, and then they can decide
oh, this document we go through ourselves. Some people even consult a consultant to do the document for them.
The proofreading is that?
No, the document itself.
The
content itself. And then the consultants will be working hand in hand with
you guys.
Yes. Yes. So in that case, the consultant who does its own proofreading makes sure everything is fine. Yeah. So after the proofreader has gone through, we come back to that, and if there are some changes we have to make in the design, we have to check some coloring, consistency, or tests. We do that before we give a copy. Sample
but before
copy.
we even get there, for the text and the layout and all the earlier ones you mentioned, is it the client who tells you that use this font size, use this size? Do they really tell you what should be done, or they just give you the word version?
Some client will let you know, I want the books of this size, and these are the specifications, the kind of paper you use for the cover, and the one you use for the inside pages. And some will give you a brand guide that will guide you in terms of what you use for your heading, what you use for subheading, and then what you use for body text. But some clients, they don't know anything. They will just say, use your own discretion. I just want a nice book, a nice design. So we use what we think is nice and present to them until they say, oh, I don't like this font, change it. I don't like this text, change it. I don't like this color. Yeah.
But say on a scale of 1 to 10, how many people or how many institutions?
A lot of organizations doesn't even understand what brand guide is. When you even propose to them, they see it to be
a waste of
costs, because why should I do this and say everything I do, this is the format it should go, because that's how brand guide is. Some people want to have design for every job, different design, different colors. So you go to certain organization, they have their logo. Let's say their logo is blue.
Use the AAU, always is blue.
Blue? Mostly everybody's use blue.
It's not all organizations. Some use red,
but that's why I say mostly. Blue, and you see blue. Then we have different shades of blue.
Sure.
you see this blue today, tomorrow you see the
a
other
blue.
a lighter shade, a lighter shade. Sorry, next time you see a darker shade.
So it actually helps with consistency.
Yes.
Okay.
So the brand guide helps in food. Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And so
now let's go back to our process. It went to the proofreaders.
Yes.
And then you said after
it will come back to the designers. They will have to go through and then take into consideration whatever the proofreaders has said.
Okay.
All the changes, the corrections, and make sure everything is intact before.
Is the proofreader allowed to make like a major change to the document, to the content itself?
No, the proofreader don't do that. What he does is to
or
he or she. Sorry,
we are gender sensitive.
Sorry.
Okay.
What he or she will have to do is to note down certain questions, things that are not clear to him or her. Okay. Then present it to the client. That would be after we have input his changes, and mostly their changes is grammar. Maybe a sentence, it means the same, but it doesn't sound well. So grammar or the is typo, the is, the has, the will, the would, where to put it and all that, and when and all that. So those are the things.
Sort of tiny but critical.
But they don't change the whole document because they don't know the intention behind.
Some things could even be technical.
Yeah. So with that, you don't touch it. So that is where if you are not clear, you ask the client, what is this? So after we will do that, input his corrections. I can't remember some. Before
it goes to the
client, yes.
Is that so?
Yes.
You won't check with the person that this is what the proofreader has done. Should we accept it?
No, that is where what is like a plan. Where they say we would. And the proofreader changed everything to we will. We went back to the client. They said, no, we want to reward. Because the reward sounds polite to us. Then
at page 7,
you are repeating the same thing, but in a different context. And also the layout itself. Making sure you put a certain color here. Like say blue, a dark blue, and then at some point you put in the lighter blue. Are you running all dark blues or all light blues? Yes, they should understand the print process as well. So after that, we will finish our design sample or a soft copy sample.
Does it come at a price?
The first 2 copies, samples, hard copies are free. But the rest you would have to pay.
From now on, we will be requesting for hard print.
Yes. Because sometimes we also want to give you the hard copy so that you know. Some also does well with, softwares. They can put comments. But if the bar is not placed where it should, you have to call and make sure it's correct and all that. So you don't pay for samples. At least you are entitled to 2. After which you pay for the rest. Yeah. So
now you submitted the first dummy.
The first dummy to the client. Now the dummy, as you do, the client should see it. I'm sure they will have editors, or they'll be editing it by themselves. They should go through it and review the document. In some cases, they can invite you to come.
Where go through together.
And also about the design, questions and the stand guide. They want to understand why you went in this direction.
Good.
So, and then you do all corrections as what's necessary. You just do them. The client is supposed to go through, review it, do all amendments, and then give you the soft copy, the hard copy back for corrections. If it's a soft copy, mostly it's converted into PDF format. Comments are placed on each page, each paragraph where the corrections are. Then you do that. Then you revert back. But before you go back, your proofreader must also go through again.
That would have been the second stage.
The second stage.
Proofreading. And, sending dummies.
Because sometimes clients are some way. They do corrections and there are mistakes. So the proofreader must make sure this is correct. The sentence, the grammar is correct. Then you, when it's done, you also effect it in the design. Then it goes back to the client.
That will now be
the second copy. And this time we hope that approval will come for printing. Sometimes there are additional changes and tests to add corrections and all that. So this stage is the second stage of second dummy sample to the client, which will give time for you to go through, so that maybe tiny little corrections
here and there.
And
then we are fine.
We can go.
So that has been the process.
The process,
from the first part where the client submits up to the whole review.
Because there will be a time that the client will leave everything to you. Then you come back with a final.
The meals prepared and served with cautious hands here. And the university, founded by the Redeemer himself.
Welcome back from that short break. The topic for discussion is still publication of books, what really goes into from the part where the client submits the Word document to typesetting, to designing, to proofreading, and then from there going on back to the client and all of that. And then just before the break, I think he ended at the point where you presented the second one to
dummy to the
client.
For final review, mostly they want to do polishing touches to it, fine tuning, checking, making sure page by page everything is fine. So when approval is given,
then we are done, I suppose.
Then you go to press. So upon approval, if there are no corrections, your proofreader must go through it finally, because the devil, the artist devil, is always in the detail where you can't see. There might be some error somewhere. Sometimes there are transfer errors where files can corrupt, text can corrupt into symbols. So you go through, after that, then you enter.
So we are not done.
Yeah, you're going to print. Yeah, printing, book publishing takes much time.
So it looks like it's quite a lengthy process.
And sometimes it can take 3 months, 2 months.
So how long does it take? 2 months?
2 months. If it is easy document, then you can say a month or 2 weeks. On approval, you go to press. There are 2 types of printing. Digital book production. And
that is the quick one.
The quick one. And then we have the traditional way of printing.
Which is what?
The offset printing.
What goes into that?
Offset printing, you do after approval, you go to pre-press. Although the design process is part of the pre-press. This time around, the author or the client is not with you. You alone with the document, which comes out in the film form. They use the film or the digital print side. That one straight from your computer. You start printing. And at direct concert, that's what we do. Mostly digital book production. The machine prints.
And I'm sure it's quicker and you can do faster, a lot more.
Yes, it prints and if time.
Everything. And whereas the other one is...
And all that you do is sometimes, the final thing you do is to trim.
But that might be more expensive.
In colors. What you see from beginning, that's what you see.
It's consistent.
At the last production. Yeah, so that's what we have majored in at Direct Concept.
We also know that most of the books, some, if not all, do have what we call the ISBN, the International Standard Book Number.
Yes. This is a number that identifies.
Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's a number that identifies the book. For copyright sake, you need that book. Especially books for sale, those kind of books. Most corporate organizations don't really.
They
don't take it because maybe they think it's a report or something. But some also, like AAU, I know, will want ISBN each book. And it's always good to get them in bulk, especially as an organization.
So who gives to you, or you put on it?
Most book publications the client gives to me
give,
because they want to go and register in their own name. And I know when you go to the Ghana Library Board, you
that
get.
is where they can get.
Yeah.
So that's quite interesting. Now let's look at the second part of this interview, which has to do with the career aspect of the publishing industry. If I'm interested in being a publisher, or I'm interested in having sort of a printing business, how do I start, or where do I start?
Okay, if you want to be a printer, not being the business, being a business as a business person, you just acquire the machines and some people handle this for you. But if you want to be a printer, a graphic designer, first of all, you need to have the passion for it. The work itself is exciting, but then it's stressful. So if you don't have the passion for it, I'm not sure you'll be able to survive in it. So first of all, have the passion. And if you are young, let's say
like
you
yourself.
Yes.
You don't consider yourself young.
I'm old, eh?
Okay.
If like a young person in school, let's say in the high school, and you want to do printing, then you need to take visual art as a course. But before,
if I'm at the university,
you're at the university, then you need to doing what?
A different course.
A different course.
Or social science or something.
You need to BA like bachelors of arts, and also do that. You can also do graphics, and through that, the graphics itself is big, is broad. The careers. All these cameramen are under graphics. So into printing, they need to learn the graphic design itself in the printing process.
But do I necessarily need to have like a full-time degree or polytechnic?
You can take a part-time course. Yes, you can take a part-time courses. But most part-time courses I've seen here in Ghana is just computer school, where they will teach you, train you on how to use a particular software in designing. But it doesn't end there. You need to understand the process. You need to understand the process, what goes into it. So if you have education on it, that will really help. Because I know some people who just go to a computer school, get knowledge on how to use a particular design software, and they say they are graphic designers, they are printers. Especially for young people, you need to go through the process in education and then make yourself strong for it, because the printing itself is not just what you see, the final end.
And all of that.
Yes. Somebody put it this way. The stress you go through in the office when you are printing just a letter, you issue the command, you go to the printer, it's not printing. We face 10 times more that problem when we are printing. So if you don't understand the process, you back off and you can't really do it. So it's a good business and it's very neat work.
Is it lucrative?
Very, 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 very.
There's a lot of money in there.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. There's money in it. That is if you get more jobs. If you don't get jobs, no money. Yes. And it makes you also, how do I put it? Learn. It makes you learn
because you read all the content you work on.
Not all, but sometimes you open a particular page just to read, and you get some kind of.
You would learn.
Yes, you
That's
learn.
Interesting.
Yes, some books, if it's bulky, sometimes we run away. But if it's small, sometimes we run. You end up before you realize you finish reading graphic design